Hello, and welcome to the Cass City Branchline Railroad, or Cass City Branchline, or CCB, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, I'm here to tell you the stories that once happened on a 40-odd mile stretch of jointed rail track in the thumb of Michigan. Branching off from the Grand Trunk Western's Flint subdivision, the CCB runs north into small towns and villages. By small, I mean the largest town on the line is Cass City with 1,762 residents. And Cass City is where we will start our adventure down the line. This place is home to the 6-stall roundhouse and all the servicing facilities a short line would need. Cass City also has the largest CCB-owned yard. The yard stores coaches, cabooses or caboose, the breakdown train, the railroad business car, and stores trains from the GTW and local industries. Oh, here's Jerry. Jerry acts as the station pilot and head switcher on the line. However, he also shuttles cars to and fro the small towns with their tight industrial curves. The CCB is a little bit unique in that 2 oil-burning engines are on the roster of 5. Amber is the second oil burner, and she is currently taking on fuel, getting ready for her morning commuter service. While she's built for passenger service, she can handle freight trains just as well. Anyway, you'll be riding in the maintenance speeder to Buffalo and get to see the sights. We'll set off once the signal's green. Ah, here comes Albert in the morning mail. He's a Pennsylvania Railroad E7 Atlantic, and he's been here just as long as the railroad owner himself, Mr. Leroy Johnsén. The engines call him Mr. Johnsén, but as for his personality, he's rather content but does not tolerate nonsense. Well, anyway, there we go. Signal's down. Here we go. As you can see, the line is rather rural and secluded from any huge hub of activity. And as with any short line, the track definitely isn't kept up to 60 mile an hour standards. But really, no one's in a big hurry around these parts. Being located in the thumb of Michigan, there's no shortage of agriculture. Corn, wheat, hay, soybeans, sugar beets, you name it. It's the leading source of income. Our first stop is Allentown, adjacent to the Saginaw Bay. This town is home to fishing, sand mining, and ice harvesting in the winter. This is also Jerry territory, especially the sand mining spur and its unstable track. High tide can really mess up things there. Other than that, nothing much else to the town. Here's Bayside Yard. Usually there's not much here as it's primarily a storage facility and deadline. And now we're being switched onto a side track. Huh. Good thing the yard manager's here to change that switch back to the main. Uh-oh. Hold on to that hat of yours. Henry's going to be flying by now. If you couldn't tell, Henry's the primary passenger locomotive on the CCB, responsible for the daily express train making all stops. He's on his way back to Cass City from the Grand Trunk connection. When he's not speeding down the line, rattling the rail joints to pieces, he takes commuters periodically, and with a lot of convincing, he'll pull the occasional freight train. Oh, and that standpipe back there takes in water from the bay still. As a result, many engines resist taking on water there other than in an emergency. Next stop, Kingston. Grain, people, and mail are just about the only things shipped here, so we'll just pass on through. On this part of the line, the forest thins and the farmland is abundant with the Alder Creek passing through. Produce is also a commodity dealt with. There's the High Valley Orchard with apple trees and apple blossom trees. Now here's the main problem. We would open up the throttle on this stretch of straight track, but over time, heat and wear from the once higher speed on this stretch has severely affected this bit. Until maintenance funds are allocated, trains are limited to 20 to 25 miles an hour. Here's Ellensville. This is a town where Jerry is well known, mainly because of the industrial trackage downtown. There's the milling company, lumber distribution center, appliance warehouse, dairy, brewery, general goods shipping, and a hardware facility. Jerry's kept plenty busy here. Note the former interurban trolley line poles and trackage. Now let us journey down the Y to the gravel pit. Michigan's Thumb is home to some of the finest grindstone, sandstone, and shale. Ah, that's Ethan's whistle. Ethan's a Baltimore and Ohio E27 consolidation. Looks like he's starting out of the pits with the mud run. Mud run as in a train of various gravels. Just a nickname. Ethan's the primary freight engine and handles the gravel train with ease. Continuing down the main line, we find the Ellensville-Detroit Edison power plant. More Jerry territory, plus Ethan. Both engines drag coal loads through the rotary dumper for conversion to electrical power. Not much else here, so let's just move on. What's Michigan without swamps and marshes? That's why no big railroad wanted to build a line in the state, so the CCB and several other lines had to do it themselves. Our last station stop before the connection is Cass. All depots before Cass have a water standpipe and fuel oil tank. This is because of Jerry's limited running range. Usually he can run just about 15 to 25 miles without having to refuel, and the refueling areas usually just serve as a just-in-case scenario. Jerry doesn't run south of the Edison usually, so there's no other refueling centers on the line. Anyway, here the CCB interchanges freight with the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad. We of course don't get the right-of-way and must stop to confirm no traffic is expected from the C&O. And it looks like we've got a train to wait for. Ah, newfangled diesel nonsense. GP7 the railroads call them. The Cass City Branchline and Grand Trunk Western are still content using primarily steam power, so don't expect to see many diesels around here. From here on out, the line is primarily farms, but will soon get into denser forests. Here's Croswell, home of the sugar beet factory. Ethan brings in gondolas to load up with beets, and then brings 2 coal hoppers as needed for conversion to electrical power. Those beets are getting to me. Let's get out of here. Here's North Branch, a developing suburb. They're widening the road due to increased traffic. Not really good news for the railroad passenger industry, but I guess it's what Eisenhower wants. From here, engine crews can really open up the throttle and make up for any lost time. Now, the trees here haven't been cut back simply because of the aesthetic look, and these days, the canopy is being used as a natural cover-up of the sorts, to cover trains from a certain communist nation and their planes. Anyway, the line climbs up in elevation as we approach Buffalo. Locomotives have to run around their train to get at the front when entering the yard. A bit inconvenient, but what's even more inconvenient is the 2%, almost 3% grade on the Y leg. And here we are, finally in Buffalo, the terminus of the Cass City Branchline with a Grand Trunk Western connection. A lengthy 3-track yard spans the city of about 1,654 people. GTW's Port Huron to Chicago line also becomes a double-track eastbound. It's not uncommon to see a 60, even 80-mile-an-hour passenger train or freight train passing through with the long straight shot there is. The GTW switches out a flour mill and grain elevator here as well. And really, that just about covers your journey on the branch line. Hopefully you found it enjoyable. Now let's get you back to Cass City. There's plenty of stories to be told.